I should be writing season 19, episode 27.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers, and I'm your host, Mur Lafferty. And it's been a minute. To catch up with me, I've took a trip over the 4th of July weekend, but not 4th of July because we had to come back because the kid had work that week. So we took a long weekend on the other end of the weekend and went to see some friends in Baltimore. My co-host on Ditch Diggers, Matt Wallace, met up with us there. We had some fun playing games and just hanging out. And then I came back, and then there was a holiday, and then there was a murder migraine, and then the kid got sick, and last week just got eaten up by terrible, terrible things. And I've been feeling very productive in earlier weeks. And part of me was cynical and thinking, okay, when is this going to stop? Because anybody with ADHD knows that it's a flow. It's like you've got your good days and you've got your bad days. And if you've got your really good days, you wonder when the really bad days are coming. And they did. So I'm trying to get out of that now. But I've been trying to do, I started a new project. I'm just playing around with ideas right now. Starting a bunch of things, trying to write Ursula style. Speaking of Ursula, we both got nominated for the Manly Wade Wellman Award, which is for excellence in writing North Carolina science fiction. And that is going to be presented this weekend at Congregate in Winston-Salem. I am not going to be able to attend. But if you go to Congregate, then you should go to see the opening ceremonies because you can see the Manly Wade Wellman Award announced. But both Ursula and I were nominated, Nettle and Bone and Station Eternity. And then my friend Richard Dansky also got nominated for Ghost of a Marriage, which I was very proud of for him. And I am delighted to announce that my other project, Escape Pod, of which I am the co-editor, received a Hugo nomination for Best Semiprozine, which is very exciting. The Worldcon is in Chengdu, China this year. I am not attending. But still, if you get a supporting membership, you can vote. And there are some great magazines up for on the ballot this year. There's our sister podcast, Podcastle, which is like Escape Pod, only it's fantasy, while Escape Pod is science fiction. And those are the two most exciting ones that I'm excited about anyway. I'm sure other people are excited. I've started doing short messages, not every morning, but if I think of just one little tiny thing I want to say, I am recording just a short little message and putting it in the Patreon feed, and I'll be adding it to Substack as well, if you're a Substack listener. By the way, if you can get ad-free episodes, some exclusive episodes, some extended episodes, and early episodes of all of this if you support via Patreon or Substack, in case you're wondering. But this morning I mentioned to those supporters that I feel like I have to over-explain everything, especially if I'm doing something science fiction-y. I don't know how I got away with what I got away with in 6 weeks, but some things I guess I should learn from myself, because some things I've just stated, like this technology exists and here's what people do with it, instead of here's how it happens. But I'm not a scientist. I never said I was. I just try to tell stories. But I thought it was funny because I was trying to get a sense of how, I want immersive VR, which is a science fiction staple. Snow Crash was written by Neil Stephenson, and then that's what they built Second Life out of. Or not out of, but that's what inspired Second Life. So it's not... Totally immersive VR is not a new thing, and we still can't really experience anything close to what we sort of hint at in science fiction, but I was trying to. I'm running a virtual reality immersive story. And I'm like talking about the chairs they sit in and the music they play to alter the brainwaves so the brainwaves will accept the VR better, blah, blah, blah. And then I watched the episode of Black Mirror. I watched the Striking Vipers episode of Black Mirror from season 5, where old college friends reconnect in a VR video game. And that explanation of VR is stick this button to your temple and you can experience all sorts of exciting things in your VR video game. And I won't explain any more to you, just in case you haven't seen it. But it's like, why'd I try so hard? And I know some people like it when you try hard, and they don't like it when you just hand wave science fiction, because then it's pretty much just magic. But then you can argue whether Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun is science fiction or fantasy, because it's like 1,000,000 years in the future. Like entire civilizations have risen and fallen in the time between now and in the future. And so a lot of the stuff that's happening kind of feels medieval. I mean, the main character is an executioner with a sword, but it's a very, very, very high, fancy sword, like high-tech almost. But there's also spaceships and alien technology. So is that science fiction or fantasy? And it being Gene Wolfe, he doesn't even explain half the stuff, not even half. He doesn't explain hardly any of the stuff that's happening, just this is what's happening. But then he's Gene Wolfe, and I'm Mur, and I know I've got a little ways to go. I was thinking how we think about our brains like there's the writer and there's the editor. Those are the two beings. You know, the writer does all the work and the editor looks at it critically and fixes it up. And you just don't want to let your editor around when you're doing your writer thing. But I've talked about the concept of just trusting yourself and just writing it. And I feel like there's two people inside of me. And one is not necessarily worrying about what I'm going to write, but worries about every other thing involved with writing that you can worry about. And comes up with all of the excuses to not write or to not add a subplot that I don't feel 100% confident in. It's the self-doubt that tells me that the idea is stupid before I even get started. And it doesn't feel like the editor. It doesn't feel like the bully, as I've called my editor, because when she speaks up to say, you know, what you're writing is crap, this is like more insidious. It's more, you shouldn't write at all. And so I'm right now, all I'm saying is I've identified this concept. So I don't know how I'm going to deal with it, except, again, to trust myself. I ran out of my ADHD meds. I had a stressful weekend because of family stuff. Everything's okay now, but it was stressful at the time. And this morning I'm just like, I don't want to write. And the thing I'm working on is kind of stupid. But I'd promised a friend an accountability date, and we sat down, and I'm like, I got to get some writing done. And I pulled it up, and I'm still telling myself, I don't want to do this. It's a stupid idea. And then I wrote 600 words on it. And that just reminds me that sometimes all we have to do is show up. Sometimes when you show up, that will shut the other person up. Will you doubt it ever again? Yes, of course. Showing up basically tells that person to screw themselves. it says, you're at least wrong about the fact that I can write this. Will it be good? I don't know. But I won't know till I do it. So that's what I've been thinking about. I've been wanting to do more interviews. And last week's interview, again, family emergency, got bumped to this week. So I'll probably be doing that one next week. Because I want to get this up because I haven't had a show in a while. I feel like the person telling me that the idea is stupid, or I shouldn't write, or it won't go anywhere, or I won't sell it. I don't feel like that person's a writer at all. I don't feel like that person is involved with my writing career at all. This is not the editor who will help me look critically at a piece and make it better later. This is just like some jerk yelling out the car window, only the car is my head and it's always here. But I don't think that person's a writer. And y'all know you're not supposed to take advice from people who know nothing about your job. So why do we take the advice of the person in our head who clearly knows nothing about the job? Because the fact of the job is, when I sit down and I write, things happen. Stories happen. It'll take work. It may not be perfect. It won't be perfect. It's a first draft. But that's a step in the process of making the story happen. That person who tells me that it's not going to be good is saying that the first draft won't be good. So even if you do manage to write it, you need to quit afterwards because it's going to suck. They clearly don't know the process of writing. Because the process of writing is you write the crappy first draft and then you improve it. So if they don't even know that writing the first draft is supposed to be flawed, why do we listen to them? So that's my thought today. I'm going to try to practice what I preach. But thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing. I do a lot of stuff. I've been trying to do a lot more with my podcast. I'm doing transcripts now. I am re-releasing I Should Be Writing from episode 1. I'll be skipping a couple along the way, but I'm mostly releasing them and doing commentary. So if you want to subscribe to that, look for I Should Have Been Writing. And if you can't find it because it's too close to I Should Be Writing, just go to merverse.com and you can subscribe there. If you want to support me monetarily, you can either support via Patreon, patreon.com/mightymur, support via Substack. I think that's mightymur.substack.com. It's one of the, wherever you're supposed to put the username in Substack, it's mightymur. And I'm going to be starting Apple Podcast subscriptions. Now, ideally, all of these are going to have the same content, the same early content, the same exclusive content, the same ad-free content. If you have a favorite way to support creatives, I'm going to try to make that easy for you. I also use Ko-Fi and Gemmy, but those have not gotten any traction at all. So, but if you do prefer those platforms, I'm there. There's also my books. My latest book is Station Eternity. It's Murder, She Wrote meets Babylon 5, and it's literally Murder, She Wrote, in that the person around whom murders happen, someone has hung a lampshade on it and said, why in the world does this happen to you? You're creepy. We don't want you nearby. Because nobody would go to those places with that person. Nobody would go to that town. Nobody would go to that church if it's Father Brown. Nobody would go partying with Miss Fisher. No. Stay away from the scary murder person. And that's what my story is about. And book 2 is coming out this November. It's called Chaos Terminal, and it's available for pre-order. I Should Be Writing has a companion book. It's out of print, but it's still available in ebook form. So if you search for I Should Be Writing on anywhere that sells ebooks, you should be able to find it and get it. But that's me. This is my podcast. I try to do it weekly. And I'll see you next time. Until then, you should be writing. I Should Be Writing is available to you under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Theme music by John Anelio. Art by Numbers Ninja. Production by Summer Brooks. And hosting by Libsyn. Find all of this information and more at merverse.com. And remember, we can't do this without you. Thanks for your support.
But I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.